Well, I mean, it should always be colliding, so. I guess we could just check if it's colliding. So we can say if not ray dot is colliding, let's just return, right? Then if ray dot where was it? Raycast CV. Let's just check our code. Get what's the space get direct state. Now why are we going so slow? Huh. That's odd. Okay. Raycast query. Space state dot set ray. Let's do direct space state. That's not really what we want. Raycast 2D. Let's have a look. Raycast 2D. Oh, Bent Emmerich. Thank you for the follow. How are you doing? Okay, so represents a line from its origin to its destination position, cast to. Is used to query the 2D space. Yep. Can ignore some objects at exception. Yep. To report collisions. Yep. Yep. Only enabled. Yep. Okay. Every physics frame. The result is cached, so it can be used later until the next frame. Model queries are required after adjusting the raycast. Okay, interesting. So that's fantastic. Get collider is what we want, I think. Turns first. Yep. Get collision point is in fact what we want. So let's jump over to VS Code, because this is generally a bit better for writing code. And let's jump into our laser. So if the ray is not colliding, then let's just return. I can almost guarantee we are, but let's see. Then we want to call ray.getCollisionPoint, and that is going to return a vector 2. So we can store this in fact, we don't even need to store it, right? What we're going to do is we're going to say the onReady var end is equal to $beam end, right? And all we need to do is say that let's call this beam end. We just need to say the beam end is equal to the position is equal to the ray.collision point, right? Then we're going to say the length of the beam is equal to the beam end dot position dot length, right? Because that's going to be calculated from 0, 0, which is our shooting point. So basically saying how long is the beam until we hit something. And now we just need to update our beam itself. So I'm going to put another onReady var, and it's going to be $, it's going to be called beam, and it's going to be $beam. Okay. And what I'm going to say is I'm going to say that the beam dot draw texture rect region hold on, let's go to the editor and just remember what this is. So it's this property. Well, first of all, we want to change our offset. Offset.y is negative half the length. So we're going to say our beam dot offset.y is equal to our length divided by negative 2, 0.0, because it's going to be float. Right, so that's going to offset our sprite by that amount. We should be reloading. Okay. Then the next thing we want to do is we want to set our region rect dot h to the length. So we can say beam dot region underscore rect dot h is equal to the length. Okay. So that makes sense. And I don't think we're ever going to need the delta. So in fact, I wonder if we need to do this all in the physics process. We could do the rest of this in our normal process. Right? So the more we can get out of the physics process, the better. And so essentially we're just going to say we'll set the beam end position like so. Then every time we render, we just set the we get the length divided by negative 2 to get our offset, and then we just set the height of our beam to be equal to the length as well, right? And that should essentially give us that beam shooting out of the player. The next thing I want to do is say when we do a process, we want to grab our strength, that's minus equals our decay rate times delta, right? And our const decay rate is going to equal, I think, roughly about 2, and we'll say const base strength equals, we'll say, about 100. And when we add our strength here, we're going to add our base strength plus our new strength. So what I'm doing there is I'm basically saying if you just tap the shoot button, you're going to get 100 worth of laser in terms of time. And then if you hold down the shoot button, then you're going to get 200 worth of laser. So you're always going to get a minimal amount of laser beam, no matter how long you hold down the shoot button. And then what we're saying is every time we process a frame, we're going to decrease that strength by a particular decay rate. And we can say if our strength is less than 0, then we can just queue free. In fact, we can return queue free. Right, so that's just going to say if we ever get to 0 strength, we just destroy ourselves. And that will essentially allow the laser to die and go to laser heaven, hopefully. It's been a good laser. And then now we just need to grab our collision area here, collision shape 2D. No, in fact, we want the beam end. So what we want to do is we want to listen to signals on this node, and we want the body entered signal. And right now we don't really care about any other thing in the world except players, right? I apologize for the noise. I don't know. Someone with a very small penis and a very loud motorcycle is outside my house. Okay, so what we're going to say now is we're going to listen to body entered, and we're masking the collisions to only players using this mask here under collision. And if true, other monitoring areas can detect. Yet we don't need monitorable. So monitorable means people can listen for collisions with this, whereas monitoring means things coming into this area are monitoring. Whereas this area going into other areas is monitorable. I think that's probably not very clear. It would be nice if they made that, renamed that perhaps. Okay. So the next stage is listening to that signal. So when we are ready, we want to grab our beam end, and we want to connect the body entered signal, and we want to handle it with ourselves using the on beam end body entered, right? So we're going to name the handler there, and let's create a space down here for our handlers, and we're going to create a new function, and this is going to receive a body. And here we can say, well, we know that it's a player, so we can assume we can call body.hit with laser, and no, actually we can say if, what do we call this? Our damage timer. Okay. So come with me, if you will, on a journey. What if we say that our damage timer is stopped by default, which it is. And we can say, well, if we get hit by a player, if we hit a player, let's just check if our damage timer dot is damage timer dot I'm going to have to check the docs for this one. So what I'm going to do, right, what I'm going to do is I'm essentially going to say